Shouldn't be clapping. Now, surprisingly enough, we're going right into bibliographies. Okay? So based upon what we do here, we just talked about we have APA and MLA, right? The book has us using MLA, but I'm just going to show everybody as if we were doing it as APA. We are on page 89. Okay, if you were just to look at this without even looking at the book, where would we probably go if we wanted to talk about the things we're going to cite? What tab up at the top?
File.
Come on. Starts with an R, ends in an references. References.
My computer was on.
There you go. So we're going to go to references. And over here, everybody here should be on APA 6th edition. That's what we write with here. If you don't have it, we can talk about that after class. Don't stress out. It's not going to be a panic attack. But when you do your paperwork, it should be APA 6th edition. So we're going to click on that one. If you only have 5th, we will address that after we get done here today, and I'll give you guys the file. I have the file for you. Excuse me? You're guessing, and you are way ahead, and it's not what we want to do. Stop. Don't hit bibliography. Now, I'm just going to take a little caveat here and just explain this to you. Whenever I write a research paper, and I write a lot of them, whenever I do this, what I do is I get all of my sources that I'm going to quote, and I get them together, and I print them out. And I think I told you guys already about my command center. I have my 3 big 27-inch monitors. I have this I love my command center. I have one of these keyboard drawers that goes up and down. It'll angle whatever side I want. And my monitors, I have an IKEA desk, one of those big sweeping IKEA desks, and it has 3 articulate arms. I can move my monitors wherever I want. It just makes me happy. It's like a joy in my life. Wow. So everybody, when you write, you have your own process. But what drives me crazy is when I'm on a roll and I'm writing with my rule of 3, and I need to cite something, and I go, crash, what am I supposed to, okay, who was that? And I look for it, and then I start trying to figure out how do I cite it exactly. Don't do that, okay? Get your citations ready. Find out what you're going to cite. I print every single one of them out, and I usually show everybody this, but when I type a paper, if I'm looking at anything, it's kind of distractive. So what I do is I kick my keyboard drawer up, and I can't really do it here, but then I just go like this. And I have all my citations on the ground, and as I usually have my rule of 3 outlined right in front of me. I know, Christine's going, what the heck? And I turn on some classical music. I shut my office door, and everybody in my office knows that if my door's shut and they can hear classical, they better not open the door because I'm going to be upset because I'm like in my writing mood, right? And in fact, Jen, my wonderful Jen that works with me, she came in one day and I'm like this, and I'm typing away, she's like, what the heck are you doing? I'm like, give me my process, okay? This is just the way I do it. So I say that only because everybody has their own way. I have people that have been like, I need to listen to death metal in order to write. I can't think when there's words in the music, but I can't think if it's dead silent either. Like, it's just creepy to me. So I turn on Pandora Classical, and I just let it play, and it just kind of, it just helps me go through it. I tell you that now because if you do what I'm about to show you, it will help you keep in the mode of writing, okay? So you get all your all of your citations, your references you're going to put. You don't have to print them. I like to have them printed because I don't want to look back up at my screen and click all around. But you get to this first one. We're going to use this as our point right here at this bibliography point. We're going to want to insert a citation. Now, I'm going to submit to you that you don't do this while you're writing the paper. You do this before you even start your paper. Okay? What I'm about to show you. And you do it for all of your citations. Okay? So just get them all ready. Before you even start, you go to References. You go up to Manage Sources, which is right here in the top. And we're going to pretend like I have nothing in here. I'm just going to delete them both. How about that? So you guys should have this, right? It's all blank. We're going to do a new source. Okay? Now, if it's an article and a periodical, it's great. What we do is we tell Word, this is what type of thing it is, because there's different ways to cite different things. If it's a web page, it has to be cited one way. If it's a book, it's one way. If it's a magazine, it's a different way. I'm just going to tell it, on this example, we're going to use a book. Oh, no, I think we actually go to article. It's an article and a periodical, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't there an easier way to get to citation by pressing the
Well, you're getting ahead of me here.
Oh, sorry.
Slow down there, Turbo. Like I said, we're doing this before we're inserting anything. I submit to you, you should do this before you start your paper. Okay? Yes?
Okay, do it and I'll tell you.
All right. So we go to this article and periodical. Now notice when I click on this little box I'm going to enter the author in, notice down here, Word tells us, like a wonderful computer, what it wants us to format it like. Okay? It doesn't want us to give it first name, last name. It wants us to give last name, comma, first name, first initial. Right? That's what it wants. So on this one, we're going to put, this is Janes. It's Malia Janes. So we're going to put Malila Janes. Excuse me. It's on page 91. Now, if you want to scroll through this without using your mouse, you hit Tab. Tab will take you through this to each field. Shift Tab will take you backwards. Tab, Shift Tab. Okay, so I'm on my title. We're going to call this one How Surveyors Measure and Calculate Angles. It's from today's Modern Surveyor. The year it was published is 2012. I know the book shows it as MAR period, but Word wants us to type in March. So we're going to type it in correctly. And the pages that we're going to use are pages 30 through 48. So once we get that in there, we just go ahead and click OK. Now when I do my papers, sorry Jennifer, that looked confused. What was that? Right here, I'm going to hit edit again. This is where we were. So you're just going to type in all the information. You're going to click this OK button down here. Now when I do my papers, like the one I'm working on right now, I have 29 references, citations that I'm going to use. I just add them all right now. And I'll sit here and I'll add all my citations where I'm citing from ahead of time. The benefit to this is that as I'm writing, I don't have to stop my train of thought. I don't have to stop my writing because I'm going to be inserting citations very quickly and I don't even have to think about it. Okay? I'm going to put one more in here just so we can see if it was a book. Let's say the author was Greer Scott. Didn't come up as the stud. How to be successful for your life. This is the book you want, right, Cameron? How to be successful in your life. I wrote it in 2013 in San Diego. I'm just putting, you guys don't have to do this, I'm just putting this in. And the publisher is Lake Combi Productions or something. I'm going to click OK. So now I have two sources in here. And I do that only to show you why this becomes powerful. Down here, it shows us, if I use this as a citation, this is how it's going to appear in my paper. If I use this as a bibliography entry, this is how it's going to show up in my paper. This is the greatest tool that's been given to us for free by Microsoft because I used to spend hours figuring out how to do my bibliographies. If I use this source in my paper, it will do all of that for me automatically. It's italicized, the title, it's done everything it needs to happen. If I click on Janes here, Malia Janes, notice that it's different, but it's got all the stuff that it needs for that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we want to insert the citation, so just as Nana was saying, or wait, was it Gabby? Gabby was saying, we're going to click Insert Citations, and notice what happens. It pops up and it gives us a list of the things we've already typed in. This is awesome because we can just be writing our paper and say, oh, I want to reference, who is it? Oh, I want to reference Malia Janes. Bink, click, and it's done. We don't have to, that's as long as it takes us to do a citation. We just do the down arrow, click on her name, it's been cited. Now, when we get to the end of this paper, we're going to just click a bibliography tab here. We're not going to do this right this second, but if we just make a bibliography, it will automatically have everything that's been cited in our paper. Is that enough information for you, Nadine? Okay, so I just want to let you know that's how you get. We're going to do that, but it's probably going to take us 20 minutes to get there. So any questions about that?
Can you scroll down so you see?
I'm sorry. See, so we just get the citation. Notice it's highlighted because it's a field that Word knows what we need.
Mine's not highlighted.
You did it wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why. You know what? I want to go back to something I was talking about earlier. One of the big reasons I like to use headings, because we were talking about styles, and you use a heading 1, a heading 2, heading 3, and stuff like that, is that if you ever want to produce a table of contents, Word will make you a table of contents based upon those styles automatically. So you can just say insert a table of contents. It'll go through, and anything that's in a heading 1 will automatically come up with the page number right next to it. Everything in a heading 2 will come up with the page number next to it, and you can modify it. But that's another big useful reason to use styles that we were talking about earlier today. Yes.
So with you putting that James 2012, that cites that sentence of surveyors measure length to whatever all the way to the baseline. That's what that means.
Well, what we're saying is I didn't come up with that. I got that from someone else's work.
Oh, okay. Because I never. Okay, that makes sense.
That's why we put it there. That's not my idea. I got that from someone else. So this is I think Miss O probably talked to you guys about plagiarism, but this is an important part. We can cite all day long in a paper. You could cite 3 pages of information if you want. But if you take it and you use it and then you don't give the person credit, that's intellectual theft. That's plagiarism. But if we're going to use somebody's idea, just put their name next to it. You don't really get penalized in academia for quoting somebody or for using their concept. You can use their concepts to prove your point. That's the entire purpose, is that look at all this stuff that's been done before me and all these people that say this is true, this is true, this is true, therefore what I'm saying must be true. You can use these people to help you. So if anything, always cite. People usually don't cite because they're lazy or they think they're going to get in trouble. I'm here to tell you, in the academic world, you get in trouble for not citing, right? You can do a paper probably almost consistently all citations. You're probably going to get a decent grade. Your teacher might say, well, wait, there's not very much original thought in here, but you're not going to get in trouble for just proposing someone else's idea as your own. Nana, do you have a question?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you know how these are published? What if it's not published and you want to use somebody else's work? Like, say Jennifer wrote a paper.
I would argue that you shouldn't use Jennifer's paper. No, I'm just being honest.
No, I know.
You could do an interview with her.
No, I know, but okay, say that she wrote a paper and I have to read over her paper and kind of rephrase what her paper says, but I want to use, sentences in her paper. Do I have to put her name and...
Well, yeah, if it's someone else's, anything that came from someone else has to be cited, okay? So if we go to manage sources, I'm going to add a new source. I would say if it's a paper, let's see here, it's not in a journal, it's a document from a website, performance, fill, interview, miscellaneous. You probably have to use this one. But I would say maybe you could interview Jennifer and ask her the same questions, and therefore you can cite her as an interview, and you would just put down when did the interview happen, and according to Jen Lee, no, I'm just kidding. According to Jen, she says blah 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 blah. You could put a quote in there. So that's the thing. Just don't steal somebody else's idea. Now, most of us here at this college, and any college you go to nowadays, use something called Turnitin. Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
And so when you turn in a paper, we get a score back. It actually goes out to another company called Turnitin. It comes back and says, based upon what's out there in the entire World Wide Web, X amount of this paper is copied. So we can tell fairly accurately whether or not something's been plagiarized. It's not good. I think Mr. Marks was telling us that, first time, big problem, second time you're kicked out. So plagiarism is not something you want to do in academia. Just write it, cite it. Just if you're having a hard time coming up with it and you don't know how to rephrase it or redo it, just write what the person wrote and cite it. That's completely legitimate. Okay? Yes.
I'm just curious, what if you cited everything, your paper looked so good, and there was that one little thing you didn't cite? Is that going to be, or is somebody going to make a big stink about you making an accidental non?
It depends on how much they know. Let's just say, for instance, you were to sit here and submit a paper to me about Apple, the company, and I know a lot about Apple, and I start reading. I'm like, whoa, that came from Walter Isaacson's book from Steve Jobs. That's and you're passing it off as I just know this. I'm probably going to call you out on it. You're probably not going to get kicked out of school if you've cited 25 things and you've missed one, but it's going to be like, hey, you missed a citation. But if you turn in a paper start to finish at someone else's paper, it comes up. I mean, I've seen it. It'll come up and say 99% of this is plagiarized. I mean, we have this. It's just a little color that comes up, and we see there's a little arrow that says how much of it is. If you get anywhere above 20%, there's red flags that are going, oh, okay, let me check this. I had one person in one of my classes get a 44%, and I looked it up, and I started looking at her paper more clearly, and it was because she had taken every question, and she had rewritten the question. Because we get this little feedback form that shows us what's been plagiarized, and everything that was plagiarized in there was the questions that she had been answering. She had just retyped them in exactly, and so I didn't penalize her for it. She was just writing the question that she was responding to. But it came straight out of the book, and so it turned in as like, hey, this is the exact same words that came from somewhere else. All right, but yeah, so if we get like, one of the teachers was showing me, I'm like, has anybody ever gotten anything more than that? And one of the teachers showed me a 90, and it was copied. It was just straight lifted off a website. So, you know, that's why we want to write our own stuff, or at least cite it. Okay? All right, let's move on then. So we've got these here. See you. Did that answer your question, Nadine? Okay, good. So we did that. We're going to go ahead and if we want to edit the citation after we've done it, we can just highlight over it. We can drop down and say, I want to edit it, of course. And we can say, okay, put the different pages in that we used, or we can just go edit the entire source. We drop down and say edit source. It'll bring us back up in this box, and we can change whatever was there. Let's see here. MLA, in the book it shows the page numbers, and that's because in MLA you show the page numbers, but in APA we just show the author and the year. Jennifer?
What about citing websites?
I cite websites all the time. I think we were talking about this the other day, but in college, how about this? In college, it's best to cite legitimate sources. So I would really recommend finding, what would be the word? Good sources. A .com website is a business/commercial enterprise. It does not hold the validity that a .edu citation would have, right? So if you can find something at a .edu, that's going to be way more powerful and persuasive than a .com. Having said that, we have Shark. Has everybody in here used Shark?
Yes.
The library?
Yes.
You go into Shark, you type in what you're looking for, and you will get thousands of peer-reviewed academic articles backing up whatever you're talking about. Or PubMed is another one, where it's medical things that have been peer-reviewed, where other medical professionals had looked at it and said, yeah, this is a legitimate thing, or they argue with it. PubMed.com, but they actually have a site, and it's built into Shark, into our little Shark system here, is a good resource also. Those are always going to be better than like when I write a paper for business school, I can go to, I'm trying to think, I can cite an academic, like Harvard Business Journal review, or I could cite Investopia.com. And Investopia.com is a blog, and it has a lot of definitions on it, but it's really not like an authoritative thing. They have advertisements. They're there to make money. Harvard Business Review Journal, or Harvard Business Journal, or however you say it, they're there to produce academic research. So if I can find something there, it's going to make my argument look that much stronger. So if we turn in a paper that has all citations from .coms, our citation backing looks pretty weak, in my opinion. We don't want to do something like that. Does that answer that question, Jennifer? But I cite websites all the time in papers. You just want to, there's a website one in there, you just drop down and you fill in all the information for that.
Just trying to find the information.
That's hard. But you know what, it'll tell you right here. If you go into edit source, good question. So let's just do it. If I said,
I'm on a site right now, some of the questions are
it what? Give me the website. Is it something you can just tell me?
It is timeswellness.com.
Timeswellness.com. Look at that. Mark Anthony debuts a 21-year-old girlfriend. Did he trade up from not Bilo? J-Lo.
Probably not.
Halo. Gosh, J-Lo's with a 24-year-old man.
Jerry, you alright? Jerry?
Jerry, don't fall in your chair.
Are you okay, Jerry?
I was stretching.
He's like 21. Whoa! All right, so timeswellness.com. Now this is definitely a, commercial website. And what you'll look for first is in Word, it's going to ask us, I'm going to just go back in here and do another reference. We're going to manage sources. We're going to do a new one. We're going to go to website. So our author, how do we do this one? Like, who is Times Wellness? Well, we got to go in here and find it. And I would usually say about Times Wellness would be the one. This looks like a person.
It's about us.
There you go. So about us will give us as much of a look in here as possible. Either the internet is running really slow or these people are on a really slow server. So.
I don't know everything.
But if they're looking for the title of the website, it's usually what's up here. This is going to be the page title. And let's see if we got this. Website not available. Anyway, you have to search around. And sometimes if you can't find the author for something like this, what I would do is I would go in here and say corporate author, and I would say timeswellness.com. Something like that.
Special ed moment for me. URL.
The URL is the actual hyperlink that's used right here. It's this thing right here. So you'll just come into this. It's where it actually is. So timeswellness.com. You would just copy that and paste it in. You don't know what a URL is? No, I'm just kidding. So that's why we are here, Jennifer. Anything you need to know,
I'm
That's
proud
what-
of being a short bus driver. Okay?
you can ask. I would love to help. So let's go ahead and move on. So we're going to go ahead and hit a period after Jane's here. We're going to start a new sentence, which is the length of the baseline and the two known angles allow a computer or person it allows us to figure out the point. This point, I'm going to save my document after I type that in. And this part's going to be on your homework. So when we get done to that, or when we get to this point, everybody's going to want to pay attention, because I always get confused questions about this later.
Can you take notes?
It's easy. Gabby's going to get this easy.
Yeah, she's a superstar.
She's a rock star. So what we're going to do is we are going to insert a footnote. Okay? It's in the same section under references. And can anybody tell me the difference between a footnote and an endnote? Crickets. One has a note. Both have a note.
I don't know. I thought one had citation, like for a different format. You put the little footnotes of what you cited.
It says footnotes are automatically no, I'm just kidding.
Isn't that
Did you type it in? That's why she's a rock star. No, footnotes go at the bottom of a page. Endnotes go at the end of the document. So we can put a 1 in and we can have it at the bottom of the page, or some research papers will have all of those little 1s, 2s, and 3s at the very end of the article listed out. So if you want to look at it, you have to flip all the way to the end, or you can actually put the information at the bottom of the page. We're going to insert a footnote. So we're going to go ahead and click Insert Footnote. Notice that what happens is up here, we got a little number 1, and down here, we got a line, and this is above our footer. So we still have a footer down here that we can use. We got a line and a little number 1. So we can start typing in here that Cordoba and Sarkis state that electronic theodolites calculate angles automatically and then send the yours didn't work. Insert footnote. It will always work. That's called user error.
No, mine says, it just says next footnote.
No, you have next footnote over here, just to the left. Did you find it? Okay. Just to the left is insert footnote. Did you find it? Just to the left of next footnote,
Find what you wrote?
insert footnote. Yes, that's on page 94. You want to type it in. Now notice we typed in Cordoba and Sarkis, these two people, and Sarkis is somebody I'm going to cite throughout this entire paper. I'm going to keep talking about him, but they gave me a red squiggly line, which means he's going to be misspelled for the entire time I'm doing this. That's going to drive me crazy. So what I can do is I can actually come over here to Sarkis. I can right mouse click, which brings up all my options, and I can say ignore if I'd like to, or if this is someone I'm going to talk about for a long time, I can add him to the dictionary. But I'm going to ignore all, which means anytime you see this in this paper from here on out, I want you to ignore it. We have an exploded cell phone down. You have no idea? Okay, now the book shows us at this point how to insert what we call a it's not a footnote, it's the citation placeholder. Okay? But you guys are going to listen to what I told you to do from here on out, because to put a citation placeholder in is almost like putting a citation in. It's a waste of time. I don't know why we have this feature. I've never used it, hence I'm not going to teach it to you. I'm just being belligerent that way. So what I would do is, if you want to cite this, you've already put your citation in, you can come up, and since I have two citations, you can use Malila Janes again if you want. I'm just going to put myself in like I did another one, and instantly my citation is there. So we can cite in a footnote, but a footnote's usually just there to explain something a little bit further. And it works just like the rest of the document. If I want to change the font, I can highlight it. I can change the size of the font if I come over here and make it, tiny or different text or whatever I want. Notice it just keeps changing. I don't want to change it. I was just showing you that it's just like the normal document. You can do anything you'd like to inside of that. Okay. We already talked about styles. That's good. Oh, so in this footnote, we've got a different style. This is going to be a footnote style, I believe. We can actually come up and say, you know what, I want this to be formatted like everything else. I'm going to make this now a normal style. And now it's double spaced just like everything else in the same font. I just used my style guide up here to pick a different style. Good?
Good.